Venice, the city of love. Known for its wonderful architecture with centuries of rich history, with a deep cultural heritage and a long line of art, literature, and music apparent in many of its tourist attractions, such as the Canal Grande and the Doge's Palace. An integral part of tourism to Italy, the defining characteristic of the city are its winding canals, with almost 80% of the city being underwater. In the coming decades, however, more and more of Venice will be lost to the rising tides caused by global warming, and in the future generations, Venice will be known as a fairy tale, a city lost to the sea, our real-life Atlantis.
In the once frozen wilderness of the Arctic, a story of struggle unfolds. The polar bear, a symbol of the North, faces a dire threat, the loss of its habitat. Rising temperatures have led to the rapid melting of sea ice. The Arctic Sea is diminishing at an alarming rate. It's affecting not only the polar bear, but the entire ecosystem. Picture this. You're at home and your front door starts to disappear and you can't get yourself out of the situation. Imagine your houses are disappearing and everything outside your house is flooded and the only safe space you have is your bed, which is going to disappear too. This is what the polar bear and many other species are feeling right now. So this is a question that we have for you. Will we take action to preserve their home and secure their future? Or will the Arctic become a silent, icy graveyard for the magnificent polar bear?
They've been telling us that this is going to happen. It's definitely, on the outer ranges of what scientists thought would be happening by the year 2023.
The dinosaurs didn't see the asteroid that was coming. They had no agency. They couldn't do anything about it. We don't have that excuse.
The greatest threat today is no longer denialism, but doomism. The feeling that any steps we take are too little, too late.
The question now isn't, are we going to prevent dangerous climate impacts? It's going to be, how bad are we willing to let it get?
It is no longer a future threat. We are living this now. So whether your basement just flooded, whether you just had to evacuate for a fire, whether it's too hot for you to go outside and enjoy yourself, that means we are now experiencing some of the impacts of climate change. We have to reduce emissions, and we have to do it immediately and faster.
There are many causes that contribute to global climate change. We can divide them into two distinct categories. Small scale, which effectively boils down to the daily increase of carbon footprints from individuals, with examples like using plastic bags, driving instead of carpooling, or taking public transport. Small-scale carbon usage is generally the usage that people think about, and most climate change campaigns focus on how an individual can reduce their carbon footprint. However, the issue with these campaigns is that they target the day-to-day usage of individuals when in reality, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, 70% of carbon dioxide emissions are caused by 100 companies worldwide. Instead, what we should be looking at is how we can affect large-scale carbon emissions as an individual. These large-scale carbon emissions either are largely unregulated or the regulation on them are not strict enough. One does not have to look far to recognize large-scale emissions. Celebrities have huge carbon emissions. Courtesy of their private jets, Taylor Swift, for example, uses a Falcon 900 private jet to fly around the globe. The Falcon 900 has an average fuel consumption of 984 liters per hour. At an estimated 170 flights per year, Taylor Swift emits 8,300 metric tons of CO2. An average person's annual carbon emission is about 4 tons, a whopping 2,000 times less than that of the pop artist. And she is just one of the many celebrities that routinely take private jets.
One more example of large-scale carbon operations are factories. The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty across most countries to limit the carbon emissions from their respective countries. However, these measures are tied to the government policies affected by the general public. We can combat climate change as individuals. Changing public perception and government policies are the key factors in which you can make a difference. There are multiple communities which exist that like-minded individuals that want to make a difference congregate. Examples of such communities are Groundwork Denver, based in the US, Canadian Climate Institute, and Earth Observatory of Singapore. We can make a difference by making it socially unacceptable for large-scale organizations to continue to exploit the lenient carbon targets. If we all do our part, our future generations will not have to suffer the consequences of climate change.